Pastor Tim coming to you from Bend and Lomita United Methodist Churches in Central Texas. We are doing a podcast on the themes and stories of the Bible. We figure that there's a need to help people get into the Bible, give them motivation and a little insight into how to come upon meaning of the Bible. It's not easy. It's a difficult book. It was written thousands of years ago by people who use different vocabulary and different customs. So you need help, and I suggest you do that as a group. That's the best way to study and understand the Bible, help each other. Today we're talking about Abram and Sarah. They had not had a new name yet. We'll talk about that later. But God had given them a promise that they would have as many descendants as the stars in the sky, as the grains of sand on the beach. And it's been 20 years and they hadn't had a child. And so they begin to wonder about that promise from God. Sometimes we try to get God in a hurry, but 20 years does seem like a reasonable time to wait. And they decided to take things more or less in their own hands. Because Sarai said, why don't you have a child by my maid Hagar? And maids were considered part of the family and owned by the people that they were sort of slaves to the people who owned them. And so it was considered that if you didn't have, a woman was not able to conceive, then it was all right. It was almost the same thing, almost a surrogate mother to have a maid have that child. And so Abraham went with Hagar, and they conceived a son, Ishmael. And initially they thought that would be the future of the promise that God had made, but that isn't what God said at all. He said that with Sarai and Abram that would be the case. And so what is going to happen is, as oftentimes happens, when you have women or anybody, but two mothers, or a mother and a mother who wants to be a mother, in conflict in the same household. And sometimes they are protective of their children. And so things were not working out very well. And when later on, when Isaac is born, Sarah will ask Abraham to put them out of the camp, to put them out of being the family's future, so that Isaac can be the child of promise. And so God takes care of them and make sure that they survive in the wilderness. And that is one of the ancestors of the Arab people that were not Jewish, but that were that populated the territory. The Muslim faith traces their lineage back through Ishmael to Abraham. So we have three major religions. The Muslim faith, the Christianity, and the Jewish faith, who all claim Abraham as the father. So he will be the father of a great nation, but it is not apparent at this time. And so people try to take things into their own hands and decide for God what God ought to do, instead of waiting on God and trusting that God will come through with the best for you. So sometimes we just have trouble waiting on God. But let's be patient. God will work things in God's own time and in the best timing. So I hope that's helpful. I'll see you next time.